Why are so many men alone? And is there actually a male loneliness epidemic going on? Is it women's fault? And is it wrong for men to feel sorry for themselves? And how do godly men deal with this loneliness and women's rejection? I'm going to touch on all of that in today's video. But first, my name is Isaac, and this is Men on Mission, where I equip you to lead and love like Jesus. If that's something that you're interested in, subscribe, because I'm putting out new videos all the time. If you want to get closer to our community, get in our community, join us on our weekly video calls on the Kindred Brothers Club on Patreon. You can join there and become a part of what we're doing here, and I'd love to chat with you and get to know you a little bit. Join us on there. I came across this video, and honestly, she has some pretty hot takes that a lot of people were taking issue with in the comments, but I'm wondering, is there any truth to what she's saying? And I'm just kind of interested in dissecting this video, so let's get into it.
There is no male loneliness epidemic. It is a loser epidemic. Men would rather be alone than to evolve and change, than to recognize, wait, maybe I had it wrong. Maybe there's something I need to change. If you can't get a woman because none of them want to be with you, maybe try and figure out why. Instead of making women the problem, saying that their standards are too high, maybe try and figure out why they don't want to be with you. What is it about you that maybe needs to change in order for a woman to want you? And they'll say, oh, there's no more good women left. Women are not like what they used to be. Women used to spend their days in the kitchen. Women only cared about taking care of the house and the kids. Oh yeah, and also women used to take our beatings. Women used to stay quiet. Women didn't complain. Women didn't think they could get better. Women didn't have confidence and self-worth and weren't able to speak up for themselves. And that suited you. That's the kind of person you wanted. If you love your mom's generation so much, cool, maybe marry one of her single friends. Women are not the problem. They have just woken up and realized they deserve better, that they don't actually need anything from these men, and they're only going to accept a man in their life if the man can make their life better. And if you cannot do that, you will not be chosen. If you can't level up and be the kind of man that women of this day and age want, you won't get to have a woman in this day and age.
I'm sure, like me, after watching part of that video there are a lot of thoughts going on in your brain, because for me, there are so many different angles that I want to take with this. But the first one is self-evaluation. When we talk about the male loneliness epidemic, I think we can look at a lot of different issues. I mean, stemming from the fact that we live in a digital age, how we were sheltered as children, that we weren't given the opportunity to, take risks and get outside as much and really acclimate to the world. Instead, we were kind of coddled in our rooms, and that's what we've become accustomed to. And then women, by and large, don't find that particularly attractive. And so, yeah, there's a lot of men that are frustrated and angry because they've been told a lot of mixed messages. Like they want, women want a sensitive guy and a kind guy or a nice guy or whatever. And those guys try to be that, but then they get rejected. And then they see other guys that are just like rude and messed up and kind of toxic, and those girls seem to go for them. And so they're wondering, like, what is going on? What am I doing wrong? And so there's a lot of frustration there. There's a lot of bitterness there. And that kind of makes sense because they have been lied to. Like, men in large have not been given the tools in order to be successful. And so what's happened? They've ended up alone. And this girl comes in, she brings in one valid point. And the point is that, yeah, us guys, we should self-evaluate. Like, am I doing things that are intentionally or, self-sabotaging my life? Like, things that are blatantly unattractive. I just think about, guys that sit in self-pity and bitterness. Like, that is not attractive. And I understand why you would feel that way. I don't understand why you would feel kind of hopeless in that way, but that is self-sabotage. That is like not helping you at all. We need to look in the mirror, to see, okay, what can we actually change about ourselves? Not merely, and we're going to talk about this more later, not merely to, get the girl to like us, but because we want to grow ourselves, because we care about who we are becoming. But yeah, there are guys that kind of have faulty expectations of what they were supposed to be offered. This is one example of that.
Well, it's official. Nice guys never get laid. Went on a date and dressed up, paid for dinner, solid $200, and with someone who won't be named, and I get a goodbye hug. And then she's probably running off to bang another guy that night. But let that girl bang another guy.
I mean, you guys see this. This is the classic tale of the nice guy who has expectations of something more because he provides a meal or whatever else. And there's bitterness because it feels like this girl is not going for a guy like him, right? Here's what I would say in the midst of this. And I don't think we necessarily live in a loser's epidemic. I believe that we live in an epidemic of men that weren't fathered. They don't know like how to operate in this world. And so when they're told, okay, you do these certain things and you'll get these certain results, then they're angry and they're bitter about it. Like, that kind of makes sense. At the same time, it is a childish mentality because it's like you're not owed anything, right? You're not owed a girl to like you just because you put an effort. You're not owed her affection just because you bought her a meal. And yet these are kind of like, I don't know, perpetuated in the manosphere that this is kind of what you're owed. And then it's this dichotomy between the nice guy and then the toxic guy who seems to get all the female affection. It's a lie. It's a lie because you don't want to live in that lifestyle anyway. Like, as attractive as it might seem to be that toxic guy who just gets, the women, you don't want to be that guy either. And when this girl's talking about, we're done with you, we're done with men, we don't need you anymore, you don't benefit our lives, I'm like, okay, you know what? There's a subset of women out there, worldly women, that really are shallow, okay? You don't want those girls anyway. That's just the truth. You don't want those girls anyway. There are godly women out there that, yeah, they have standards, right? And you can be bitter about those standards or angry or feel like they're unrealistic. And some girls' standards, hey, Christian girls too, they're unrealistic. And you're like, okay, you don't need them anyway. I want to get to the heart of motivation. Where our motivation for really changing our life, because this girl talks a lot about, how you should change your life and we're not settling anymore and like we have self-worth and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, that's great. But what should your motivation be as a guy for getting your life in check? Should it be, okay, I want to just find a girl. I want a girl to like me. I mean, hey, like, marriage is a great motivator, but it shouldn't be our ultimate motivator. Like, and definitely sex should not be our motivator. Okay, I just want to change my life so then a girl likes me so I can have sex with her. That's a complete perversion of how God designed things. He designed our sexual energy to be a motivator to get our life in check. That's part of it. But our ultimate priority here should be to honor God, right? Like, as Christian men, which the vast majority of you guys watching would identify as Christian men, we should desire above all to honor God with our life, to become the man that God wants us to be, not because we're trying to earn his love or earn a girl's love, but because God has loved us and gave himself for us, and while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. So now what do we want to do? We want to change our lives. Yeah, we want to grow and become more and more like Jesus. It's not about trying to just please the girl so then all of a sudden we feel loved. So many guys, and I was there too, we find our security in the love of a woman so that when we find rejection, we're forced to two things. Either it's depression and anxiety and fear and self-pity, or it's bitterness and anger, right? That's what happens when you find your security and love and significance in the affection or attention of women. But when you can find that confidence in God, in who God says you are, in who God sees you as his son, his beloved son, then a girl's rejection of you won't end things for you. It won't be, it will hurt. Yeah, definitely. I'm not going to say it doesn't hurt, but it won't be world shaking because God loves you and he has a plan for your life. I would really encourage you, young guys, to not try to conform your life to what any particular woman on TikTok says you need to become, right? They're like, oh, you need to be this, or you need to be that, or you need to be more sensitive, or you need to open up more, or you need to be more aggressive, or you need to be more manly, or whatever else, right? Because there's so many different sides to this. There's women that say you need to be more emotional and sensitive, and there's other women that say, I'm not attracted to that at all, and you just need to be tough and never say anything that's on your heart. Don't listen to either of them. Just don't. They're not who you're trying to please anyway. You're trying to please God, to honor him, and trust that when you're doing that, God will bring somebody along the way that them too, they're trying to honor God. They're looking in the mirror of themselves and where they're at, and they're trying to honor God. And you're going to connect with them, and it's going to be okay. And it's not about, being frustrated about all these women who have unrealistic standards or all these women that, whatever. It's like, trust that God is going to grow you and he's going to help you take those intentional steps to meet that girl that aligns with your values and what matters to you.
Your tricks are not working anymore. The internalized misogyny, the oppression, all of that, it's not working anymore. Women are waking up from it. Women are healing. Women are learning to love themselves and their own company. Women are learning to support and love each other and have communities and have friendships that are valuable and fulfilling. We now know that getting married and having children is a choice, that you don't have to do that, that is not what makes you successful or fulfilled in life. In fact, having kids when you haven't healed yourself and you don't know your own worth is actually the problem. It's why so many, if not all of us, have childhood traumas, have issues. What's happening right now is very normal. It's called evolution. It's happened many times before. When conditions change in the world, you either evolve to survive or you get left behind. This is evolution. Instead of complaining about it, evolve.
I agree that there's a certain level of healing that needs to take place probably before you get in a relationship, definitely before you have kids. Like, that's understandable. But it sounds like what this woman is saying, that, you know, we don't need kids and we don't need men and stuff like that, kind of the feminist propaganda that's really perpetrated nowadays. This is a red flag straight up, right? Yes, you should look in the mirror and you should work to become more like Christ, right? That's the goal. And in so doing, you're going to attract a godly woman. But your goal isn't to just manipulate yourself to according to the times. Like, okay, I guess there's modern women and there's working women, so I'm just going to kind of be a beta or, androgynous because I guess that's what she wants. She doesn't want a real man. No, don't conform yourself to the culture, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. One quick thing that you guys need to be aware of in your own heart is, are you just being a nice guy to be nice to get something from that person? Or are you being kind because that's genuinely who you are and you have no expectations of what they're going to give you or if they're going to give you affection? So many guys go into it with the nice guy mentality. They're trying to be nice. They're trying to conform. They're trying to be that perfect guy for the modern woman. And yet they get rejected anyway. And it causes them to go the complete other angle, misogynistic, all this other stuff. They're like, it didn't work, right? But it's not about it working. It's about, is there legit kindness in your heart, genuine kindness in your heart, and you want to share that with a woman, right? That's important. That's part of being a godly, loving man, even if it's not reciprocated. Okay, that wasn't the right girl for you. That doesn't mean you get all bitter and angry because that was a ploy to get something from them. No, not at all. I know there's a lot of single guys watching this channel and you're just like, hey, Isaac, this is all good stuff. But I'm just wondering, like, when is that girl actually going to show up? Like, I'm working hard. I'm trying to become more like Jesus through his spirit. And yeah, I'm not paying attention to the worldly girls. And I'm trying not to conform myself to the world. And I'm trying to hold on to my values. But it just seems so hard because no girl out there really seems to align with what I'm got going on. And I would just say, hey, like, I don't have a lot of answers for you, but the truth is that you can either become bitter and angry and like frustrated about all this and just, that you feel alone, or you can choose to rely on God, to embrace other men in your community, to join a brotherhood, to be patient, I guess. Like, really, that's at the end of the day, is to find contentment where you can find contentment, even if it's hard, even if it feels like a trial, because it is. But trust that God's got you, whether it's in your timing or not. I know I kind of went rogue in this video, but I just pray that you guys were blessed by it and truly that these words make their way to your heart. Thanks so much, guys. And until next time, keep pursuing the mission.